Hey guys, today I'm going to show you a very useful router jig. Routers are one of the most versatile tools in the shop and on the job site. There are lots of useful router jigs, and I'll be making many videos showing you them. Today's jig is very handy, especially at making jigs. If you watched my Arch Jig video and plan to make your own, you'll need this jig to mortise out the arch for the locking knobs. This is a basic circle jig, but unlike standard circle jigs, this one allows you to place the pivot point under the router base, making very small arcs, and this really comes in handy. Now, depending on your router, the shape and connections might be different, but the basic design will be the same. Start with a 3/4 inch piece of plywood that is wider than you need and cut square on all sides. Then draw a center line. Place your existing router base on the plywood and centered, then trace it out. Next, I used a Vicks bit to locate the mounting holes. I have 8 inches of material extending beyond the base. This will allow my router to cut up to 18-inch circle. Because you don't need all that extra width on the extension, I tapered the base down to 2.5 inches. Next, drill out the center of your base. This makes cutting out the shape a little easier. My router needs this material removed for the base to sit flat, so I cut it out with the jigsaw. Now it's time to route a 3/8 inch deep dado in the bottom of the base. You can use a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch bit. Getting this centered is very important. Route the groove from both sides to ensure you're perfectly centered. Next, install a keyhole bit and route your piece. Now it's time to cut your sliding pivot arm to the right width and thickness. I recommend using a hardwood like oak or maple. Here I'm using hard maple. Then take it to the router and cut the notches on the edges so it slides snugly in your dado. Now finish cutting out the base. This can be done on the table saw, bandsaw, or jigsaw. Next is to install the threaded insert. This one is a little long, so I'll need to cut it down. Then install the insert 1 inch from the back edge. Then using a 4D nail, drill a hole 1/8 inch from the edge of the pivot arm. Cut the nail to length and epoxy into the arm. This is your pivot pin. Next, attach the base to your router. Now it's time for a test run. Let's set it up to cut the Arch Jig arc. When making the pivot hole, use the same size nail as the pivot pin. Then set the pivot pin in the hole and route your piece. Well, there you go. Another very handy router jig to add to your toolbox. Jigs greatly increase accuracy and efficiency, not to mention improve your skills each time you make one. Thanks for watching. Hit those like and subscribe buttons before you go. Check out my other videos and stay tuned. There's a lot more tips and tricks coming you won't want to miss.